Hi guys. So today we are doing quadratics and graphing quadratics, all right? We have done factorizing quadratics previously. So today we will be focusing on graphing, right? So when we are focusing on graphing, we need to know the equation of the quadratic. So the equation, let us suppose we have the equation as y is equals to ax squared plus bx plus c, right? And this is the general form of quadratic, right? And any quadratic with or without like factorizing, like some of the quadratics can be factorized, some cannot be, but every quadratic can be in this form, can be converted in the general form, right? So we'll start with the general form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c, right? From this general form, we can take out some clues, and those clues will help us graph our quadratic like to the exact value, right? So what we have to do here is we have to find these three things, all right? And then we will do an example of how we can actually create the graph. So first clue is find the dash, all right? So that the first part what we are finding is the y-intercept, right? So it is y-intercept. And if you remember when we did the straight line, y is equals to mx plus c, the c bit here is your y-intercept, if you remember, right? Or at y-intercept, we know that we let x is equals to 0. So when we put x is equals to 0 here, that whole thing becomes 0. M times 0 is 0 plus c. That is your value, right? Even in this general form, if you put x as 0, these two values here will become 0 and you're left with only the last number, which is c, right? So that is the value of your c, right? Value of c. So first thing is when we have an equation, we find the y-intercept, right? Once we have got the y-intercept, we then find the x-intercept. And similarly, as we have y is equals to, in y we let x is equals to 0, in x-intercept we will let y is equals to 0, right? So when we put y is equals to 0 in this form here, it will be converted as ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0, right? When we factorize this, we can have two factors, we can have one factors, or we might end up with no factor at all, right? And to factor, we have done the factoring form, we have done the factorizing quadratic form, we have also done the quadratic formula, right? So here, if we factorize it, like if we have the quadratic formula is your minus b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac over 2a, right? So now here we have done that if this b square minus 4ac, this part here, if b square minus 4ac is greater than 0, you have two real roots, all right? If we have b square minus 4ac is equals to 0, if this bit becomes gone because it is 0, so if that thing is gone because it's 0, you are only left with one bit, right? Because this plus minus has no value now because it has become 0. So that will give us one root or one real root. And if this b square minus 4ac is less than 0, if it is less than 0, that is negative, and we cannot do square root of a negative number. All right, so there is no real root, right? So that tells us that we can have two roots, one root, or no real root. How does that look in a graph? So if we draw a graph, if there are two real roots, it will look like that. There are 2 points where it is intersecting on the x-axis. If it is one real root, it can just be like that, just touching it there. It can be like that. And if it is no real roots, it's just somewhere here where it is not intersecting the x-axis at all, right? So that is the visual of the roots. So now here when we find the x-intercept, let y is equals to 0, it gives us two values. It can give us one value, or it might not give us any values, right? It doesn't matter. If it gives us a value, that's a help in creating the graph. If it is not, we can also create a graph without it, right? And these things are also called, these y-intercept or intercepts are also called roots, right? You might have heard that word before. If not, it's good to know, because some of the times this question says find the roots of this equation. So find the roots of this equation means you have to find the x-intercepts for that equation, and that means you have to put y as 0. All right, if it is not there, we skip to the third step. Like in most of the questionnaires, you get answer this. If not, skip to the next part. So skip to the third one. Find the, so in the last one, we are finding the x's of symmetry. All right, x's of symmetry means where it is exactly same on both sides. All right, so it's going, so if I draw another graph, let us suppose like that, that is your highest point. It's not a very neat graph, but let us suppose that is your highest. Let me draw a neat one. All right, so here I draw a graph, let us suppose like that, right? And that is the point in the middle where it is going on right and it's going on left side, right? Right side and left side. So there is a point, or there is a line in the between, that when you fold it, symmetry, you must know, when you fold it, it gives you the exactly same shape, right? So at this point, if we go back to the formula, that we have here, right? So if we get rid of, so if your formula is x is equals to minus b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac over, it is 2a, right? So that 2a can be written in a way that we have two fractions, 2a over 2a. Right? Now here, if we are finding the x's of symmetry here, this middle point, that means we are not adding or we are not subtracting anything. We are not subtracting, we are not adding anything. We are just using the middle value, right? So that means we are not adding or subtracting anything. We are just using the middle value, and that middle value is minus b over 2a. So x is equals to minus b over 2a, right? So when x is equals to minus b over 2a, we can find that x value, and that x value will help us find the y value as well. So if we substitute this x value into the equation that we have, we can find the y value, right? And that helps us to find the vertex. And vertex is this point here on the top, right? Which is the highest point. Vertex or turning point, or it's also called maximum point, right? It has just quite a few names. All right, so once we have got this information, once we have got all these values with us, we can easily find our graph, right? Now, the best part is, or the best way of doing it is, when you get an equation, you first find all these clues before you draw the graph. All right, don't just find one value, draw two x's and start drawing the graph. Find all the values first so you can visualize the graph before you can actually create a graph, right? So you can do it pretty well. All right, so now if we do an example, the example that I've already written there. So we have y is equals to x squared plus 5x plus 6, right? The first step to find is the y-intercept, right? Once we find the y-intercept, that means we are doing let x is equals to 0. So when we do x is equals to 0 in these two, we are with y is equals to 6, all right? When we know that the y-intercept is equals to 6 here, the point or the coordinate, right, because we are plotting it on a coordinate axis, is always good to find that point. So the point is, or the coordinates are 0, because x is 0, 6. So that way we know that we have to put this point on, put this coordinate on, right? The second bit, the second is your x-axis, sorry, the x-intercept. And for this, we are doing let y is equals to 0. So let's put that. So our equation is x squared plus 5x plus c plus 6 is equals to 0 because our y is 0. All right. Now, if we are factorizing this, we have to find the factors of 6 when adding gives us 5. So the factors of 6 is 6 times 1, but when you add that, you do not get 5, right? Another is 3 times 2. When you add them, you do get 5. So the factors is x plus 3, x plus 2, all right, is equals to 0. So you put x plus 3 is equals to 0 and x plus 2 is equals to 0 will give you x is equals to minus 3 and x is equals to minus 2. All right, if you need help with factorizing, you can watch my other videos which have the factorizing explained in the previous videos. All right, just factorizing. So you can, and I'll link that video somewhere around the screen. All right, so now we have factorized, we have got two x values. So we have the x-intercept. So the two x values we have are minus 3 and minus 2. And we know that the y value for both of them is 0 because we let y as 0. All right, hope it's making sense because the y value here, we did put the y value as 0. So that means the y value for both the coordinates is 0. All right, now let's do the third bit. And the third bit is to find the vertex. All right, so we are finding the vertex. To find the vertex, we first find the x value of the turning point. All right, and for this, x is equals to, we just recently did, minus b over 2i. All right, b is the second number in the equation, which is minus 5 in this case, over 2 times a is the first one. In this case, it is 1. Right, so we are left with minus 5 over 2, which is equals to 2.5 or minus 2.5. Right, now that we have got the x value, let's find the y value. So y is equals to, let's write the equation, x squared plus 5x plus 6, right? And x is equals to minus 2.5. So y will be equals to minus 2.5 squared, 5 times minus 2.5 plus 6, right? You can use a calculator at this point, right? I can just do 2.5, 25 squared is 6.25 plus 5 times 2.5 or 25 times 5 is 125. So it's going to be 12.5 because it's a negative. It is going to be negative plus 6. All right, now use your calculator and tell me what you get. So you will get minus 0.25, right? Because 6 and 6.25 is going to be 12.25. 12.25 minus 12.5 is 0.25. All right, that is your y value. So the coordinate that we get here is going to be the x value, which is minus 2.5, comma, minus 0.25. All right, so this is our vertex. Now we graph that. Now we'll graph all these points into the graph. Let's create the axis now. All right, so sorry. Let's rub that off. So we draw our y-axis, we draw our x-axis and y-axis. All right, now let's plot the points. Vertex is at minus 2.5. I'm just reading because it's on the screen right now. So minus 2.5 and minus 0.25. So we can have minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. We just need that bit. Same 3 points here. So 2.5 will be here. And then you go up 0.25. All right. Now, if we go 0.5, if I take that as 1, right? If that is 1, 0.25 is 1/4 of that is going to be just there. So that point is my first point, which is the vertex. Next point that I have is -3, 0 and -2, 0. -3, 0 is here. -2, 0 is here, right? Let's use different color just so it's become visible. Right, and the last one is your y-intercept is at 0, 6. 0, 6. So x-axis is 0, y-axis is 6. So your y-axis is 6. So let's put 6. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need one more. So let's extend it and let us suppose that point on the top is 6. Right? So let us suppose that is a point 6. Now, all right, so this was -2.5, my mistake. Our vertex was -2.5 here and minus, so that should come down this way. All right, my mistake, sorry. Now we need to join all these points together to make a parabola, all right? So down here, goes here, and goes back here. So that is our parabola for this. Right? Now the parabolas can be open upwards or open down. So it could be this way or it could be this way. So the positive x square value, positive of x square goes upwards. Negative of x square values goes downwards like that. All right? Just so you know, because when you're creating, some of the graphs will be open upwards, some of the graphs will be open downwards. So this tells us that if it is positive x square, it could be any value here, doesn't matter. So if the x square, the coefficient of x square is positive, it's going to be open upwards. If it is negative, it's going to be open downwards, right? I hope this makes sense. So this was when graphing with the help of a general equation, all right? The general form of the equation. And any equation that you get in the exam can be converted into general form. So if you just understand the general form pretty well, it's going to become easy for you to plot the graph, right? I hope this makes sense. In the next one, in the next video, I'm going to explain about the transformation, like how does it move to the left, to the right, up and down, and how does that change the equation, or how does the change in the equation helps you see the transformation, right? So stay tuned to watch the next video. Cool. Have a wonderful day.